Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. How are you? Check it in real quick. We have audio over here. We do. Good. So we are ready to go. Today is Friday. Welcome to Friday, everyone. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMTrain.tv, and we're checking the audio. We are broadcasting. Actually, it's kind of complicated. We broadcast on 3 streams simultaneously. We're doing Twitch, YouTube, and Discord. So, and probably at some point we'll be doing 4 streams. We'll be doing in parallel in 4. So, upcoming broadcast schedule, kind of some notes I threw up here on screen real quick. Those of you wondering about this, this is, so Monday coming up, we're going to be talking about 19.5, 19.6, 20, kind of going over and kind of rehashing a lot of what was announced over the last couple of weeks, including we're going to demonstrate Claris Studio, at least the parts that seem to be functioning at that time. So that's kind of an interesting conversation. That's Monday, Tuesday. So we got like 3 very important dates here. This is coming Monday, Tuesday. Andy LeCase from Claris will be here on the Problem Solver Circle and answering whatever questions you want to throw at him, maybe things that came up on the previous day on Monday. So over here, we're talking about this stuff. I've talked to them. They're like, yeah, you could talk about all this stuff. I'm like, okay. And Andy said he'd take any heat if we got in trouble for discussing secret, top secret stuff, which is maybe not so secret, top secret, but probably someone at Claris will think it is, and then they'll yell at me. They can bother Andy, then that'll be great. And then Wednesday, we move back the start of our 30-day CRM. So we have a 30-day course, 30 calendar days for you to get up to speed in building your own custom CRM in the FileMaker platform. It's a pretty good deep dive for those of you who are brand new beginners. You want to start off the beginning. You have very little experience. You've been away from FileMaker for a long time. Some of you, I did FileMaker. I took 10 or 15 years off, 20 years off. I came back to FileMaker. I don't recognize what I'm looking at. It's a good opportunity for you to get caught back up to speed. So real quick, so that's the first 3 days of the broadcast schedule. If I go here to our website, which is a really important place to be, go to fmtrain.tv, various tabs right here, hit the live training tab. You'll see the same kind of things coming up. So today is a good conversation. We'll get there shortly. I have these announcements on the front side. Then we got, so FileMaker 19.5, 19.6, Pro 20, Claris Studio. Yeah, it's a lot. And then you got Problem Solver Circle, Claris FileMaker 20, Open Q&A with Claris, Andy LeCase, that's his smiling face in there. And then Wednesday we start our CRM course, which is going to go ongoing after that. So that's very exciting. So let me just flip this real quick. So it makes me look like I'm looking off screen, and it's very disconcerting. That way it looks like I'm looking on screen. So as a reminder, if you want to support this channel and what we do, we highly recommend you purchase some of our training. All our best training is actually paid training. If you like the free training, I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad you're spending the time with us. But if you want comprehensive, dedicated training on a specific topic, like I want to learn about relationships today, or multi-predicate keys, or script triggers, or audit trails, things like that, definitely check out our training bundles here. These 2 bundles are fantastic. The complete bundle is actually super complete. That's this one here. This bundle right here is it's a limited set of material. It's a little bit cheaper. So I highly recommend that you check these out. We really appreciate supporting the channel. I'm not going to ask for people to give us free money or Patreon or that kind of shit. Although people suggested we have our own merchandise, right? So we were thinking about reselling the Claris puppet. So whenever Claris does something really goofy, you want to have a chat with Claris, you could have that chat right here, and she's on hot standby with us. So anyway, we could put a little branding on her and sell her as well, but that's that. So 30-day CRM, if you're interested in more information about the 30-day CRM, we're going to updating this page here. It does start. This is updated right here. And if you want to register right here as a registration, it's totally free. 30 days of intensive training every business day, 1 o'clock this time slot. If you're a super experienced FileMaker developer, this is going to be probably not for you. If you're looking for Nick will be back in about a month, right? He's working on customer projects right now. We'll be bringing him back. But over the next month, we're going to be doing mostly new version of FileMaker stuff, and also Problem Solver Circle and this CRM stuff. So that's the priority. Now, real quick, I forgot to do this yesterday. So pause, as in meow, cat pause, or doggy pause. If you say pause on error, pause, as in pause your script on error. If you do a search for that, you get this pauseonair.com. This is the only conference in the United States that's for this calendar year in 2022, the Claris FileMaker Developer Conference, which they always kind of give it cute little labels, but it's a developer conference. That's why they call them DevCons. Developer Conference is not scheduled for 2022. It was washed out due to they didn't want to wrestle with COVID. The people here, we come here, they may or may not require that you be tested. Depends on how COVID's going in the couple weeks and months leading up to this. But this is coming in October, and I'm actually in this photo way in the back wearing black, looking very gruff and unhappy. In fact, I think I'm somewhere back over here hiding. So anyway, or that's me right there. So anyway, so this is a really interesting conference. It's at the at this kind of like a resort camp place. It's up in the, I would say, foothill / low mountains of Georgia. So if you go to Atlanta, Georgia, you go north a couple hours and you come to this place. It's really fantastic. We have some photos of this. Wonderful conference. 2 full days and then a half day on both sides. Starts Monday at noon, goes till Thursday at lunch. You want to register for this. It's pretty cheap. It's like 1/3 the cost of going to FileMaker's DevCon. Now, DevCon has a lot of stuff. There'll be singing acrobats and naked skydiving and all sorts of crazy stuff that goes on DevCon. We've had race cars. We've played baseball in a professional baseball, diamonds and fields. We've had rock concerts. We got on an aircraft carrier. We're driving the aircraft carrier around down San Diego. It was really cool. USS Midway, CV-41. Awesome boat. So anyway, so there's a lot that goes on DevCon. This is similar in length, but way cheaper. And it's not very corporate-y, so there's not a lot of fancy corporate sponsorships. And so you should think about registering for this. It's $500 or $600. I think it's $600 a head, something like that. I've gone through this before. But there's only so many hotel rooms there. Why I'm mentioning this, go to this event. It's really great. A lot of advanced topics. There's not a lot of like, I'm a beginner, how do I define a field? Everyone there is talking about APIs and JavaScript and JSON shenanigans and stuff like that. It's a very relaxing location, kind of slightly in the wilderness. It's a good way to unplug. You go up there and you say you forget to bring your phone with you. It's a good time to lose your phone and your internet connection. They have internet there, but I never had it work very good, but it kind of did work. So that's pause on air. That's upcoming schedule. It's a lot of announcements. Sorry about that, but there's a lot happening. And if you want a hotel room and you don't want to be stuck in kind of like an open cabin with like 8 other bunks and stuff like that for Pause on Air. Some of the people are going to get stuck with that. You need to go ahead and register now at Pause on Air. Spend the money, take your credit card out, and take you and your best friend, or you and your wife, or you and your boyfriend, or whoever, and get the hotel room. They're down to under 20 hotel rooms now left as of this morning. All right, so Ken says he'll be signing autographs for free. There is a public signing with Ken and Tom Cruise. I've been told, once again, it'll be on the Midway. They've already done opening or the premiere there, but I think they'll be back. And Ken is by far the fastest hot air balloon pilot I have ever seen. That's quite impressive. So let's talk about today a little bit. So this is the upcoming schedule. So today's topic, and I'm going to kind of write while I do this. We have a little bit of visual cue. So the issue today, and I need Jacob Taylor to kind of surface his submarine at this point. Jacob.
Welcome. Yes. What portion of the submarine would you like?
Well, sure. First, show your face, Captain of the Holy
the USS Holy.
The USS Holy. The reason I say USS Holy shit because the reason we're having this conversation today is because of a couple things that are going on. One is that so Gmail was this free service. Gmail was this free service, and historically, Google's been trying to get people to buy it. And so if you get beyond a certain amount of usage, you have to buy it. RCC, we use Gmail for our corporate mail. And so there's still a lot of people using it for free. Well, the problem is that Google has identified that SMTP, the way they implement it there's certain security holes that they have. They're not comfortable with those security holes. So the issue becomes one where they're turning off SMTP transmitting from your computer, your system, your server, through SMTP, the conventional SMTP to their systems. They want to turn that off or change the way it works radically. Mostly it's about the world growing up and there's bad people out there doing bad shit. And so as a result of all that, they're turning this off. Now here's the important part for all of you listening. If you are using a free Google email account today, free, and you're doing send mails out of FileMaker, that will quit working in 18 days. 17, 18 days, it quits working. It will not work anymore. It will fail. It will never work again. And so today's conversation is about all the people out there who've been using Google email for free. In my case, I'm paying for it. We have the same problem, but so what they're doing is they're implementing these mandatory security changes for the free people in 2 weeks, thereabouts. And at some point in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, they're going to mandate it for all the people who are writing a check and paying them. So everyone's going to get this, but when it directly affects you within your organization will vary a little bit. Now, why is today interesting? Because we're going to show alternate ways of setting up Google Mail, one. And the second thing is that we're going to talk about, and instead of maybe using Google Mail for free, why don't we look at Amazon SES? So we actually have 3 demos today. We're going to start with these demos in the order of our victims. So victim number 1 will be Calvin Moseyman. We're going to ask him to, I'm going to unpin him. I'm going to switch to Calvin. Oh, Calvin, your head is so big. He's up high. There you go. There's Calvin. Calvin needs a haircut. I need more hair. Calvin, why don't you just cut some off and I'll just glue it on over here? That'd be great.
I'll FedEx it.
FedEx the hair. That would be awesome. So what are you doing? What is your demo? What does it address? I'm going to make notes on screen while you say this. So go ahead.
Yeah, so what we need to do is switch to, we used to be able to go into our Google account and say allow less secure apps to interact with our Gmail and send through SMTP with the FileMaker send mail script step. But they're not allowing that anymore, so we need to have a way that we can use OAuth 2 to get a token and send a more secure message. So in this demo, we are getting that token through logging in through a web viewer. So the client, the user of the app will see a web viewer with a login dialog that will allow them to log in with their email account, and then it will save a token for that email account, and then that token can refresh as it's needed over as they're sending emails.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this demo, then we're going to point out some weaknesses in this demo, and then demo number 2, not picking on Calvin in any way, it will be an enhanced version of this demo which compensates for the weaknesses. Both of the first 2 demos are Google Gmail related, and then the last one is a total pivot to Amazon SES, simple email service or whatever the hell they call that. So, all right, so Calvin, you want to show your screen and go through this? I'm going to continue to make notes over here.
Yes.
And then Margaret, I want to confirm you're getting all the demos lined up, and from Brian's running out of time, but hopefully you and Michael get those demos so we can give people the download links for these samples, because everyone's going to want these, right? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually Brian's demo and my demo are the same file.
Okay.
So they're all in one.
Okay.
So here we have a test email that we're sending to Brian and myself, and we have a test subject and the body, and it handles attachments as well. So what we need to do though is set up connect it with our Gmail account. So I entered my Gmail information, my name and my email address, and then I have to go into my login to my account and set up a client ID. So let's go ahead and click this link. It's going to bring me over to the Gmail, the Google Cloud Platform services over here. I'm going to select credentials, and I have this already set up, OAuth 2 client IDs. And I'm going to go ahead and select edit so you can kind of see what's going on here. So you'll need to set up this this client ID, right? I'm just calling it Web Client 1. And we have authorized redirect URIs. And here I use this also for testing with the 360works email plugin, which also can use this. And so I have some redirect URIs for that. And then for my demo, we're using just google.com. I'll go ahead and save that. And so
okay, question.
Yeah.
This is in here. Would this have to be in here, or is that just a leftover? Where's this from?
Yeah, so this is, you'll see the creation date on this is 2018. This was a I was doing testing on maps. So this is
okay.
not
So this is
related.
totally unrelated. So everyone sees this. This is just a big line. Okay, cool.
Yep. And you'll notice here the client ID is the first 4 digits are 7631, and you'll notice over here we've got 7631. So I copy and paste that in here.
Okay.
I have a client secret as well, that redirect URI, and now normally this access code wouldn't be in here. So I'm going to say get code. And you'll notice the web viewer.
Most of us all recognize this. I see this because I have a bunch of computers, and they're always confused that I have like 10 computers I use to do my job. And as I bounce, the computer says, "Are you really this person? Would you re-authenticate to make sure you're the real person?" Right?
Yeah, and if the first time you do this, it might ask you to, if you have 2-factor authentication enabled, you're going to have to factor that with another device. So I'll select my email address. I'm going to say allow, and you'll notice it filled in a new access code. And now we have this token, and I can refresh this token as much as I want. Now, the token lasts, I believe, for about an hour. And so the way the scripting works, it's going to check to make sure it's not old, and it actually refreshes it if it's any more than 10 minutes, I think. So I'm going to say, so we've got our test email here. I'm going to say hello live stream, so we can see that it's a different message than our earlier test ones. And I'll say send mail, and here I'm using the email authentication. It thinks about it. There it goes. And let me go ahead and pull up my Gmail. I'll refresh, and here it is. And I even have an attachment. So so this came through, and we're sending this using not send via SMTP, not using a plugin. We're using insert from URL and the Gmail API to send that message.
Okay, so to be very clear about this, what we have done in this demo 1. So demo 1, we replaced send mail. Is it mail or email? Send mail script step with an API call. And for most of us, we loosely know what we're talking about, because the send mail command doesn't talk with OAuth, right? So it's kind of not going to work anymore with Google. Okay, so now, would you say that every hour? Can you cover the part about every hour? What was that part about the every hour it refreshes or whatever?
Yeah, so here there's a token.
Okay.
That is when you make that API call, you give it this token, and it sees that it's you, and it sends that message.
Okay.
Now this token can be it can be refreshed and changed.
Okay.
Those tokens expire, so after an hour it won't work anymore, and it will give you an error message saying that the token's expired. So we check to see how old the token is, and if it's any more than 10 minutes old, then we refresh it.
Okay.
And the refresh is a real small, it's not a heavy request, so we do it more often.
All right, cool. I was slightly distracted by a conversation between Ace Estimate and Rick Fosnod, who are arguing about basketball, I think. So, okay, cool. All right, so then our programming and our scripting, we're automatically handling this part right here, correct?
Right.
Okay, now the question I have, and I think this kind of leads to the Brian part of the conversation, is there is a limitation with this technique. What are the limitations here? Okay.
Yeah, so one limitation is that after a certain length of time, you have to re-authenticate and log back in. So it's going to be.
Well, I thought you said that was every hour. I'm being a little dense here on purpose, but it's.
Yeah, good. It's a good point. So the every hour we have to refresh the token, and that just means we have to run a script that calls a new token and updates it. So right now we have one token. It's going to last till 2:23, but we can refresh it, and now this new one's going to last an hour. So that needs to be refreshed every time. But the access code is going to expire as well. So you will notice that this, if we look at this access code, this should update when I go through here. say allow. And so now you see this access code refreshed. So the access code is going to only last so long as well.
How long is that so long?
I'm not sure. It might be, I think in a discussion in the senior meeting, someone was saying it lasts about 200 days.
Brian,
but
are
if
you there?
You have a integral app using these send mail features, you're not going to want to have to log in every 200 days or so.
Brian, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay, so you want to talk about this 200-day thing, or where that's at, or what are we doing there?
So the 200-day thing, as far as I know, is only a limitation on the OAuth 2 client method that Calvin is showing.
Okay. So it's an OAuth 2 client, and 200 days is an accurate statement. Do we know that? You kind of read the docs on this, right?
Yes. I have not read the documents on the OAuth 2 client portion of it, just the service account portion.
Okay. Well, then, and that kind of gets back to the next thing. So this has a limitation that there's a manual, and I'm trying to get to this, but no one's actually articulating this very well, which is why Richard, the boss, is here to help translate geek speak into normal human conversation. So the limitation here is that human intervention is required with this technique here every 200 days. So you have this 1 hour limitation that the system automatically corrects. But then there's a manual intervention. I think your manual intervention here kind of hung up, Calvin. Not sure if you want to read.
Yeah, it actually worked. It's just the web viewers hung up.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And so what happens is that this is a 200-day requiring a manual intervention. So the rub is, here's the bottom line, and I kind of go back to this a little bit. People go, oh, that's fine, right? Okay, so just doing this for enough years like I've been doing, 200 days is long enough for everyone to at your customer or whoever's using the FileMaker system to remember that this was a thing. They'll totally forget because we're past 6 months, more than a half a year has passed. Then suddenly FileMaker quits working, and the conversation will be something like, Kyle Williams sucks, Ken sucks at flying hot air balloons, and FileMaker, Claris FileMaker is a horrible pile of shit, okay? So you don't want to set yourself up for a known crash landing, which will happen in 200 days. Just how are you going to remediate that? Well, I'm going to put it on my calendar and remind everyone that at 198 days that they should fix this. Okay, so bad juju across the board. So this is useful as long as they're manually human intervening, and it's a person doing it. I guess it's a useful thing. We wanted to show this because this is a technique you can use. If you have this on the FileMaker server, the FileMaker server's headless. There's no way to really get on there to do it, so the server can't really fix this. So I said to the team here, I said, this is really horrible. We're going to deliberately crash the airliner every 200 days and kill everyone and make them mad. Why do that? And so Brian said, well, we can do this other option. So Brian, why don't you we want to share your screen, or are we going to be on the same screen here? We're going to be on Brian's screen?
We're going to switch to Brian's.
All right, great. So Brian, why don't you give us your screen action there? There we go. So now we're on your screen. So this is this the same demo, or is this this is the same demo file? Different demo.
This is the same file, just a different layout.
Okay.
So yeah. So the main difference between my implementation and Calvin's implementation is that this one goes through a server to server transaction as opposed to a server interaction. So it's something that they call 2-leg OAuth, whereas Calvin's is called 3-leg OAuth. What we need to do is we need to create on Google Cloud something that is known as a service account. A service account is essentially a placeholder user that can impersonate any user in your organization. So if you have a service account, you could send emails from any email address that belongs to your organization. I go into here, you will see we have this service account email, which acts as sort of a username for the service account, and we also have a private key, which acts as sort of a password. If I go back to my demo here, you see that we sort of copied and pasted a JSON object into here that contains all of the stuff. This is actually something that that Google Cloud gives you as a file.
Okay.
That you're it's they only give it to you once. You save it. If you lose the contents of this, you have to create a new one.
Okay. Okay.
So essentially, what this does here is instead of going through our authentication, that authentication screen that Calvin was showing you, instead of doing that, we construct a JSON object that that essentially contains everything that OAuth consent screen would have sent over to the server anyway. This consists of a header, which tells it the encryption algorithm, as well as that it's a JSON web token. It consists of a of this what's known as a claim set, which is the actual JSON object that has the service account's email, the scope, all the permissions that the service account is going to be utilizing for this service, the target URL to send this JSON web token to, as well as when this is going to expire, the current time, and the user account that we're impersonating inside of here. So we have in here.
So this one doesn't really expire. It looks a little more complicated, but it doesn't really expire. Is that what we're saying?
It expires after 1 hour, but you can reauthorize it just by sending off this.
So the 1 hour part is still 1 hour, but there's no 200-day self-destruct on it.
Correct.
Okay. So to me, as a end user, I mean, we've been doing emails since whatever year, but this is all getting more complicated because of the bad people in the world that are doing bad things with emails and ransomware and things like that and all this kind of stuff. So this level of sophistication is unfortunate. It sucks. But basically, we can't use with Google really essentially, we can't use the send email, right? Script step, because it's not capable of this level of sophistication. So we end up using the insert from URL, which is basically the tool for a API, right?
Correct. Right. And this is actually using the Gmail API to send out these emails as opposed to any sort of SMTP server interaction.
Right.
I'm sure there's probably some interaction with SMTP going on in the back end of the Gmail API, but we're not directly interfacing with it.
We don't see it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So in this sample file, if you can close this off, you can actually take yourself through this and learn how this works. It's for me personally, Brian did a great job. I am not personally enthusiastic about this. For sending emails, this is too freaking complicated, right? But this is what you have to do if you don't want to have a Gmail that self-destructs after 200 days. So did you cover the part where you go to the server? So where's those instructions at? Did you finish those instructions with the little symbol?
I did, yes.
Okay, great. Can you pop that up? This is part of the downloader. It should be. What we've done. Yeah, walk us through that. This is great.
Yeah, so I built out this sort of how-to guide on how to, basically starting from scratch, how to create one of these service accounts. This just breaks it down step by step, has screenshots of everything going through the process. showing you exactly where you need to go, what you need to do to actually enable Gmail API usage in your project, um, and how to actually navigate through this in order to get to the service account, because as just like any other enterprise level cloud system, Google has a lot of options to choose from here. And it can be kind of hard to actually find the stuff if you're just casually browsing through all of this, right? So so this
Step-by-step guide is really great. Yeah. So
exactly.
I had a meeting on this on Tuesday with my senior team, and this was initially developed internally for RCC, and I told them to flesh it out, make it a little more digestible, and then we would give it to all you folks because I thought this would be useful for you. It's like if you were doing something awesome and then you thought it'd be useful for other people, I would ask that you share it with the rest of us. That would be great. So, so thank you, Brian, for doing. Is there any other essential elements that so this really lends itself well to a server,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it doesn't need to be, once it's working, then you don't have to, you get it working on Pro, then you load you have the script run from the server side, right? So you test it on Pro,
Yes.
get it going, make sure it's working, then you have server run it. Any other gotchas or anything else we should know about with this one?
A big limitation on this is that it only works for Google Workspace. So you won't be able to use free Gmail accounts with this with a service account.
So the service account is basically kind of it's kind of what Calvin had before, but it's kind of this upgrade. So this is the two-leg OAuth. Is that what you said? The two-leg OAuth? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a higher level of sophistication. Obviously, the days of getting free. I mean, I still do free stuff, but at the end of the day, someone has to write a check for that, and companies want to ROI on their investment. So I give starting point away for free, but I get certain tangible benefits out of that. But yeah, that's Google, right? They gave email away for free, and they, did ads and all this sort of stuff. And Google's kind of, between them and Facebook and Apple and Microsoft, you got some of the biggest companies that drive a vast majority of pretty much everything. So you're gonna have to pay for some of this, but it's pretty inexpensive, right? For the most part.
Yes. So it starts at $6 per user per month. Excuse me.
Okay. But this is only one user, right? So, but could you buy one user? What's the minimum that you can buy? Do we even know?
Yeah. So this is actually let me see here with all the emails in here. Oh, of course it wants me to log back in. Cool. Live demo.
Oh my gosh, you got a bunch of them. So this is a trial for this account.
This is a trial, and there are 3 users. Every single email address inside of here counts as one user. So I've got 3 different email addresses inside of here. The service account does not count as a user, so that's one plus at least.
All right, cool. All right, questions from people. It's really quiet. I don't know if you guys are overwhelmed or are you lost your mind, because we're going to save the best, in my opinion. For me, I like really stupidly simple things. The best demo is the next one. So for me, because Brian's is great, but you'd have to have a situation where someone said they're paying you as a FileMaker developer, a Claris developer, or whatever the hell we are anymore, to implement an email that specifically works with Google, right? And the way Google is today, right now, if someone says, hey, if you want to communicate through Google, I would say, well, can't we do something else, right? Do you really have to be Google, or you just heard the word Google and you thought that would be cool, right? Is there a reason you really want Google? If so, then you can use our demo, no problem. Which kind of pivots us to Jacob Taylor, who's our resident server expert. Mr. Taylor, are you ready to kind of pick up this conversation?
Sure. Want me to share my screen here?
Yeah, share your screen real quick.
Let me kill my video and we'll share my screen. You guys can deal with my tiny, because it'll be big text for you all.
There we go. Oh yeah, this looks great. People are gonna love
awesome.
This. Yeah.
I made my screen is like
it's yeah, but you know what's so good about it? It's really big, and you got to move that window.
We can. Sorry. I can. I think
just hide it at the bottom or somewhere or whatever.
I wish it could go away. That'd be
Okay, that's
great.
fine.
Anyway.
Let's leave it at the bottom. So,
Yep.
so this is this Margaret? Are you there? Is this part of the same demo? Is it one demo link
This
we
is its
have?
own
Everything.
file. There's 2 files.
Okay, so
So
this is the
Yes.
third demo, but it's all
Mhm.
one bit.ly that we're giving to them, one link that they can use to download this stuff, right? So,
The second link is Jacob's link, which I identified in front of it. Jacob's demo.
okay, that's fine. So there's two, yeah, there's a Calvin's and Brian's demo, and then there's the Jacob's demo. So, yeah, so demo 2, which was the Brian demo. Let's call it that, Brian demo. We had the Calvin demo. Calvin. What we'll do is we'll put these notes in Margaret, maybe stick these in the notes for the
Mhm. And the
downloads.
third leg of that OAuth is the user interaction.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is what that was. Okay, demo
2
3.
servers and then the third. The third is you got to click.
Okay, so
Yep.
Jacob Taylor, and you're doing the Amazon SES. So,
SES.
so I'm gonna save that. So, oops, save the desktop. That's great. I'm gonna go back up here. So why don't you go ahead and get going on this? Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So if you've used the SMTP, like the built-in in FMSP or the send email, script step, this all will look extremely familiar to you because I've just sat here and replicated every single field in that script step, and there's basically 2 lines in the actual script that runs this. It's incredibly easy to integrate. There are about 2 things to know in the setup for this, because it's just SMTP, like that's all this is. So except Amazon is who's sending it. You're using them as the sending email provider. So for this, you have to have an Amazon account. That is true of a bunch of our customers, mostly because I've set a ton of you all up on Amazon for various ways. So if you're already one of our Amazon people, cool. You have about 2 buttons to click after that to get something like this up and running, plus, yeah, plugging it into FileMaker. The second thing is, so you have to validate who you're sending as. And I'm going to bring my browser up here. So I actually didn't get, let's see if it, just by chance, if I load it and it didn't finish. All right, cool. I was going to do 2 demos, but I can't do the second one here. So there's these 2 things represent the 2 different ways to set up an SES. They call them verified identities, but it's essentially who are we sending as. So you see mine, that's my email. I'm impersonating myself. That one is the easiest. It's the identity type, or I'll select it. So there you go. So that one is the identity type email address. That's an individual email. So you see, that's mine. What that does, so you could create identity. We'll do it here. And so you get 2 options. You have domain and you have email address. So I did email address, and then it is just what it says. There's basically one box. You put who do I want to be? Who am I sending as? So if I did another one, I could do JT at, I think this works, right? That's it. So I do that. I do create identity. Done. So action required. You see the big blue thing at the top. It basically is telling you, hey, we shot you an email just now. You may have just heard the ding. And what that email has in it, which I think, see if we can show it without, there it is, beautiful. So here's this. So big ugly link, you see that, there's not much else in the email. All this is validate, hey, someone wants to send emails as you through Amazon, click here to approve it. If you don't, it's not approved and you can't do it, right? That's it. For this send type, for the individual email address send type, that is essentially all that you actually have to do. The rest of it is copying and pasting stuff into FileMaker, either in your send email script step if you're going to do it that way, or in my demo file, I made every single thing a field basically to make it kind of easy, so you can just paste everything. So if we actually just approve this, sorry, I have to move that thing around. So it's thank you, you did it, great. So we're going to go back over here to our tab. Reload this. So we should have a JT at now, hopefully somewhere. I am. Oh, sorry, I see what I'm looking at here. Let me close this thing because that's kind of annoying. So what we have is and so I'm approved now. I have a JT at rcconsulting.com. All the details that you're looking for are right. I think it's this tab. Notifications. No, where is the details? It's probably up here. Where did I find all the details the first time? Hold on. Live demos are great. Yes. Is it account dashboard? Yes, it is. I'm sorry. All right, cool. So it's Amazon. So as you'd expect, they spread everything out over like 3 different interfaces. So apologies. So you see over here on the left side, we have account dashboard. As previously looking here at the verified identities, right? This is where our 2 emails and potentially 1 domain are. So you go to account dashboard. I'm in Sandbox mode, but that is, you click this and they approve it later. And then you can spew as many emails as you want. Right now we have some very minor limitations, 200 emails per day, and don't spam, right? So.
But that could be increased, right? That could be increased.
Oh, yeah. No, it's, again, we're in Sandbox mode.
Okay.
So it's like a demo account like Brian had or something
see.
else.
So these are our sandbox limits here, right? So.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But then
so once you request production access and you will get an email when they approve it, then its sending limits are much larger. So
but they're also watching you. So if you start to if you do like felony email stuff, they're going to probably boot you, right?
They'll yell at you. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if a Ken at the hot air balloon Ken starts spamming people, that if you take a balloon ride, you also get a free bottle of Viagra, right? And then you start spamming that to everyone in North America. Amazon's going to see that and cut you off. So just keep that in mind.
They know. Yep.
Yeah.
So you pull the details. All right, let me flip to FileMaker really quick. So we need this kind of basic stuff up here, which is like what's our host name, our username and password. This one, I put this box in here. This is a placebo. It's not actually used, but maybe you want to hold on to it. And then everybody knows these boxes because this is what would be in your email client or that you'd be setting up for who am I sending as in FileMaker. So this is your server details. That's it. You're copying your SMTP endpoint. That's your host. You actually can, in 19 at least, you can leave the default settings for the TLS details and all of this sort of stuff. You don't really care too much about that. The big one, and this is the one actual like big button you have to click, which is this one right here. So at this point, I have validated. The first step that we did today was validating my JT at rcconsulting.com, right? So that's ready to go as a validated identity, a verified identity. However, we don't have SMTP like email send details. There's a username and password for that. Because this has nothing to do with my actual Google account or anything else, we have to have a separate username and password for that. That is this button right here. So you're going to click this, and you'll see this kind of, it's not the same one as is in in my demo file here, but this is here. So you'd say create. There's nothing else here. There's like some IAM policy stuff that you will not care about here. You're just going to set create. So what we now have is, so I'm going to show this and then disable it afterwards. But this is my username and password. So for example, if we go over and put this in, this isn't changed because I'm keeping the same thing, but you'd obviously have to set this host name. We're going to change, I'm going to delete this because this is my existing, these are my test credentials. We're going to take right here off the screen, and this download button is useful. It gives you a CSV, like an Excel spreadsheet with these details in it. So I'm going to paste that, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to select this very carefully. Right, and then the only thing I have to change is because this is for the JT at, I'm going to change that. So one limitation, and it is very specifically a limitation because we are in the sandbox, all of these things have to match up because basically I can send email to myself right now because they've put me in the box, right? But if you request production access and then get it approved, any verified identity can be sent as. So if you successfully approve the domain version of this, I could send an email as Richard. Also, I could send an email as our support account, right? Because I am validated on the entirety. Any email that is at rcconsulting.com or at your business, right? Your website, whatever your company emails are, you can validate that. And so then I can send, you can send as whoever. So if that's your accounts payable, if that's a support account, something like that, or if it's just a marketing app because you're sending out email newsletters or something else, done. That's it. So
Okay. I do see a question.
Exactly the same way.
We have a couple questions here. I'm going to Alpha Lima 92651 is off topic. I'm going to save it for later at the end if we can slide it in. That's a good one for Calvin. If Calvin, you want to take a look at that, or Margaret, if you copy and paste that one, send to Calvin and Brian. First question, Will, this is a good question. This is from Michelle Gravel. How long will Amazon continue to use SMTP? And I don't know that there's anything wrong with SMTP because they're giving you credentials that they trust you. I think it's more of an issue of kind of standard API stuff that Google's using. I'm sure you could use an API to send mails to Amazon too, right? This is Amazon Simple.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple email service.
Simple
Correct.
email, i.e. emphasis on simple. Doing it this way is much simpler. What they're doing is they're still putting you the screws to you to verify that you're a real person, and you have to request production access. And Ken Tooley, hot air balloon guy, said that he requested access. He's done this twice, and he gave him a lot of information. When you go through that process of requesting it, turning on it here, give him a lot of information, including a sample email, because initially when he did it, I guess he did minimal information, and they thought he was legitimately a Viagra balloon spammer, and they rejected him.
Yep.
And so there's the whole point of this is that they want to verify that you're not an asshole, then and you're trying to trash people's emails with spam, then they're going to let you in, right? I think that's kind of an expected thing. But you need to go out of your way to kind of explain to them that you are not a bad person, right? Or whatever you want to call that, a spam person who fills up your inbox, not someone I love. So that's an important thing. I don't know it's so much about the SMTP mechanics. Brian, if you're there, I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Because if you look at the username and password here, this is pretty cryptic IP stuff, right? Or UUID stuff, right? So I don't.
Yeah, so this is actually very similar to the credentials you would pass in for any Amazon API. Actually, it looks like it's probably generated in the same sort of way as they would generate an API key. So you could actually think of this top thing here as an API key, and the bottom thing here as a secret.
Yeah,
and it's sort of doing doing that same handoff except through SMTP.
Yeah. It's essentially just a constrained IAM user, and that in AWS IAM is both the service name in Amazon and also the generic term for that, identity and access management, IAM.
So the answer to the question, I'm going to try to make sure we answer this and then kind of motor through. To Michelle Gravel, I don't think they're going to get rid of SMTP. There's nothing wrong with SMTP. No. Google had to rethink their process for validating people. Amazon did a evaluation of a process for evaluating people and getting them set up. Both organizations came out with different ideas of what that would look like mechanically. If you look at the rocket from Elon Musk, or you look at the space shuttle from NASA from years ago, or the new Artemis stuff, totally different shit. I mean, they both go into space, but mechanically, and they don't blow up. But outside of those two things, they're executed very differently. There is a question about pricing on this. A question about how much does this cost?
Yep.
And I just told them it was stupidly cheap, but you could give them the answer if you have.
That's an extremely good summary.
Stupidly cheap. Yeah.
It is 10 cents per 1,000 emails.
Okay.
So stupidly cheap is a good summary.
Yeah.
It's not expensive unless you are sending literally millions of emails a month. So
yeah, RCC, we send out generally 2 newsletters a week, and there's about 30,000 on each pass. So 60,000 emails. So it'd be 60 times 10 cents. So that would be
$25.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the ballpark at like 20 to $25 a month for this. So
okay. Yeah, so that's pretty inexpensive. There was a question here about working with 360 Works email plugin.
Yes. So 360 Works email plugin would be most similar to what I showed in the beginning. When you, and that's actually where I started, was getting it to work with the 360 Works email plugin. And
Okay.
it goes through that same dialogue but instead of using a web viewer, that actually goes to.
In fact, the first time you saw that you built this, you were using 360 Works' instructions, OAuth instructions. We covered this about a year ago on this
Yeah.
live stream. Yeah. So this works with it. We think this would probably work with it. The question is, would this work? I know that 360 Works has their Cloud Mail plugin designed to talk to Amazon SES. So I don't know if Send their basic email plugin does SES, but they have a second plugin. Let's go to that real quick. 360 Works. I've been trying to get a hold of Jesse Barnum, but he's just so hard to find these days.
Super busy right now.
Yeah, well, he's always super busy, or he's on vacation in Europe. He doesn't have time for us little people in his life. He's FileMaker 18 certified. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You go to products over here. You've got the email right here, which is basically the email right here, and then they have the other 360 Works Cloud Mail. Here's their two products. They have email versus Cloud Mail, right? So good sending emails, yeah. Good sending 100 emails, yeah. Max. Receive incoming emails. Their Cloud Mail doesn't do that. Customize email headers, no. Sending SMS and IM instant messages, Cloud Mail doesn't do that. Uplinks to upload attachments S3, works without an SMTP server. So, yeah.
Cloud Mail's for like bulk email sends.
Yeah,
is my
it's like,
understanding.
yeah, like if you're going to send hundreds of thousands of emails, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
So
if you want to do an email blast, like your newsletter once a month or something like that, or more than once a month perhaps, but
yeah,
but that sort of a sending scenario where it's like, hey everybody, here's like latest updates from our company or something like that, and you want to keep the whole process in house, Cloud Mail is exactly how to do that.
yeah. In our case, RCC, we use 30,000 emails on a blast is what we have. And when we do that, we use the email plugin. So I use two computers in parallel trying to run through it. And it takes about 4 or 5 hours, each of them banging away. This thing can do, Cloud Mail can do, 30,000 emails in 20 seconds or something. But each of these emails that get sent out are customized, individually tuned for each person who gets it to let them know what their subscription status is. So these emails, if all the emails are the same, right? Sale at Macy's, 30% off, come tomorrow, right? But all these that I do are customized, so each email is individually crafted. This is a carpet bombing, repeat 50,000 times and launch, right? So anyway, interesting stuff. So that is the answer to that part of it. I'm just an individual with no business domain or email. All I have is free Gmail address. So what email address option do I have for getting authenticated? I think you're going to be if you're looking for purely free.
That's Calvin's solution, I believe.
That's Calvin's solution, but yeah, so you use Calvin's solution, demo number 1. So if you go back to well, I don't know, Brian, do you want to quit showing Calvin? You want to talk about this real quick? You don't mind paying Amazon? Okay, well I'll leave it up to you. I think this is a hell of a lot simpler for me to set up. And Amazon, I trust a lot more not to try to read my email than Google. Google still reads your emails and stuff like that. So I'm not a big fan of that.
Amazon does not care.
Amazon doesn't care.
Does not.
All right. So there was a question that's kind of a little bit out of bounds. We're coming up to the end of the hour here. So what I want to do is go ahead and throw this out to, I've got a very talented group of engineers here today. What I want to do is ask about Alphalim 92651 says on Twitch, how about syncing Outlook client with Google Calendar? Totally off topic, but we can discuss this, right? So if I say this to Brian or Calvin, what are your guys? If someone says, hey, I have Outlook client, I'm assuming on Windows for the most part. And so they're probably using Exchange Server, I guess, whatever they call that these days. They want to sync it with Google Calendar. With Zulu would do that, right? Wouldn't Zulu do that?
Yeah, I think Zulu would have some feature that should support something like that. Building that out in FileMaker would be a lot of work.
Yeah, so let me see.
I wonder if you can't directly plug Outlook into Google Calendar. If there's not, I don't know what Outlook even does. I assume if you're asking, Outlook has calendaring.
Here you go.
So
Yeah. So here's Zulu. Zulu syncs FileMaker to iOS, OS X to Google Calendar, and Exchange 365 calendars. There you go. So it's Zulu. It's not free. So Alpha 2. I love people that, yeah. I mean, if you're already using Outlook and Exchange Server, you're already writing a big check to Microsoft anyway for that. So what was that, Calvin? Go ahead.
I was going to say, Jacob had a good point there that you might be able to just share a calendar from Outlook or to Google itself.
yeah,
I know that the Outlook client does allow you to log into Google for emails at least. I've never played with the calendar portion of Outlook, but yeah, it will actually do the OAuth 2 authentication with that and stuff like that. So it might be possible to do it without a middleman like FileMaker. Yeah,
I just built into it on Windows. Yeah. So, well, I mean, I don't use it, and I also don't use Windows. So if you go in there, if you look at the documentation for those two products and they don't auto connect to each other, then you're going to need a middleware solution, which is what this is. So there you go. All right. All right. So we're at the end of our time. Any last questions, Margaret, we didn't get to?
Not that I can really see. I think we should be pretty good.
All right, cool. Well, appreciate it. So don't forget next week, action-packed week. If we go to that schedule real quick, you've got FileMaker 19.5, 19.6. We'll be talking about 19.5 in detail, 19.6 loosely, and FileMaker 20 to whatever degree that is. And it's a little confusing. We'll work on trying to put a chart together. Hopefully it makes more sense for you. It's confusing to us, and we're supposed to be experts. So there we go. And then that's Andy Lacate's on Tuesday doing open Q&A. That'll be very exciting. And then starting Wednesday, we're 30 days of kind of detailed basic CRM basics, and we're going to start at the beginning. So if you're highly experienced and you do virtual lists and this and that, and you do all sorts of fancy stuff at Nick level, then you're going to be very bored for a month. So you'll need to find something else to do at 1 o'clock. But this is for the brand new beginning people. If you have new people that have been using FileMaker for like a year or less, or doing, when I say using FileMaker, developing for a year or less, and they don't have necessarily a programming background, or if you're brand new to FileMaker and you've never used it but you have a programming background, we're going to be able to handle all those scenarios for you. Not a problem. All right, everyone, greatly appreciate it. It's Friday. Go have a cold, frosty beer. Christian Schmidt, get some sleep. Appreciate it. Sample files are free. Download. They're available now. If you have a problem with any of this stuff where the sample file doesn't download or something, let us know. Support at RC Consulting is how you reach out to the tech team. Support at RC Consulting. Don't forget to sign up for Pause on Air. See you next week. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir.